Have you ever watched yourself do something and part of you was screaming, "Don't"? You knew better. You had the plan, you had the experience. And still, you sent the message, ate the thing, stayed up, snapped, bought it, scrolled again. And afterwards, you don't just regret what you did. You regret that you did it while knowing it wasn't good for you. That kind of regret feels personal, like proof you can't trust yourself, like your self-awareness doesn't matter, like you understand the loop, but can't stop it. So what's wrong with you? Nothing. This isn't a character flaw. It's not that you're weak. It's a predictable brain pattern. And once you understand it, you can interrupt it without becoming a robot and without relying on motivation. Because most regret isn't about intelligence. It's about state. When your state shifts, your priorities shift. Your brain starts playing a different game. Here's the core idea. You don't have one decision maker inside you. You have multiple systems competing for control. One system is fast, emotional, survival-based. It wants relief now. It cares about comfort, certainty, and belonging. It's trying to regulate the present moment. Another system is slower, reflective, future-based. It's the part of you that plans, learns, and sees consequences. It's the part that says, I don't want to repeat this, and tomorrow will feel terrible if I do this. When you know better, that's the reflective system. When you do it anyway, that's often the relief system taking the wheel. This is why smart, self-aware people still self-sabotage. Not because they're irrational, but because under pressure, the brain prioritizes immediate regulation over long-term goals. And the switch happens most often when you're in a vulnerable state. Tired, hungry, lonely, overstimulated, stressed, rejected, bored, or emotionally overloaded. Your brain doesn't ask, what's best for my future? It asks, what makes me feel better right now? That's why you can give perfect advice to someone else, and then do the opposite in your own life at midnight. So let's start with something physical because this matters more than most people think. Your body isn't just carrying you through the day. Your body is driving the quality of your choices. When your nervous system is activated, your brain shifts resources away from the planner and toward the protector. Because in the brain's logic, planning is a luxury. Protection is urgent. So, in a hijack moment, you don't need to win an argument with yourself. You need to change the state first. Here's a tool that looks too small to matter, but it matters a lot. The 90-second reset. Before you act on an impulse, do something for 90 seconds that signals safety to your nervous system. Slow breathing with a longer exhale than inhale. Cold water on your face. Stand up and stretch. Walk around the room. Drop your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Relax your hands. Why does this work? Because when you change your physiology, you change the brain's interpretation of reality. And when reality feels less urgent, your reflective system comes back online. A lot of bad decisions aren't value decisions. They're state decisions. Now here's the emotional twist. What you call weakness is often your brain trying to protect you. When you do something you regret, your brain is usually trying to solve a real problem. I feel uncomfortable. I feel empty. I feel anxious. I feel rejected. I feel powerless. I feel alone. And your brain says, I need relief. The problem isn't wanting relief. The problem is that your brain learned a specific shortcut for relief. And it became automatic, because shortcuts are powerful. If something worked once, if it reduced discomfort even for a moment, your brain remembers. And over time, it becomes a habit loop. Your brain learns through reward. When a behavior reduces discomfort or gives a quick reward, dopamine reinforces the pathway. Not because dopamine is pleasure, but because it's a learning signal. Remember this. Repeat this. So your brain builds a loop. Trigger to craving to behavior to relief to reinforcement. And then something important happens. When you encounter the trigger again, your brain doesn't just remember the behavior, it remembers the relief. So the craving often isn't for the snack, the scroll, the message, the purchase, or the argument. The craving is for the emotional shift. That's why logic doesn't stop it. Because you're not battling an idea, you're battling a learned regulation strategy. Now let's talk about another reason regret happens: the future you problem. Even if you understand consequences, your brain discounts the future. Future pain feels less real than present discomfort. Your brain solves the loudest problem first. So, I'll regret this tomorrow often loses to, I can't stand this feeling right now. To bridge the gap between present you and future you need one simple mental move. Name the part. Instead of I'm messing up, say, my relief-seeking part is activated. My anxious part wants certainty. My lonely part wants connection fast. My angry part wants control. This isn't about pretending you have multiple personalities. It's about creating distance. Because when you label an impulse, you stop being fused with it, and distance creates choice. Then ask one question that changes everything. What is this trying to solve? Not, what's wrong with me? But, what problem is my brain trying to fix? Because regretful behaviors are usually solutions. Just expensive solutions. Doom scrolling solves emptiness. Overeating solves stress. Procrastination solves fear of failing. Snapping solves feeling powerless. Texting someone toxic solves loneliness for a moment. Overspending solves the craving for a new version of you. When you identify the real problem, you can choose a cheaper solution. And here's where many people get stuck. They try to remove the behavior without replacing the function. But if the function is relief and you remove the shortcut, your brain will search for another shortcut. So replacement matters. Now let's talk about willpower, because willpower gets blamed for everything. In a hijack moment, willpower is not the main tool. Design is. Because the brain doesn't only respond to intentions, it responds to friction. So here's a rule that can quietly change your life. Make the regrettable behavior harder to start. Not impossible, just harder. Put the app in a folder, log out. Turn on grayscale at night, charge your phone outside the bedroom. Don't keep trigger foods in sight. If you buy them, buy smaller portions. Create a delay rule. I can do it, but I must wait 10 minutes first. Remove one-click buying. Put your cart away. Add steps between impulse and action. This isn't weakness. This is intelligence. You're using your environment as a second brain. Because the goal isn't to become someone who never feels impulses. The goal is to become someone with better exits. Now, why does regret repeat? A huge reason is shame. Shame feels like accountability, but it's not. Shame is a threat signal, and threat pushes your nervous system back into survival mode. And survival mode pushes you back into relief seeking, so you regret. Then you shame yourself. Then you feel worse. Then you seek relief. Then you repeat. That's a loop. The way out is surprisingly gentle and surprisingly firm. Compassion for the mechanism. Discipline for the pattern. You can say, of course I did that. I was in a hijack state. And also say, I'm responsible for building a better exit. So here's a simple 3-step exit plan you can use tonight. Step 1. Notice the moment. Say, this is a hijack moment. Not to judge yourself, just to name it. Step 2. Regulate for 90 seconds. Long exhale breathing. Stand up, cold water, walk, stretch. Anything that changes your state. Step 3. Choose the cheaper relief. Ask, what need is underneath this? Then pick a lower cost option that meets the same need. Lonely? Message a safe friend. Can you talk for 5 minutes? Overwhelmed? Drink water and reset one small area for 5 minutes. Anxious? Write the fear in one sentence, then write one next step. Restless? A short walk or one song with movement. Angry? Draft the reply but don't send it. Wait 20 minutes. At first, the cheaper relief won't feel as intense because your brain is used to strong shortcuts. But it will feel clean afterward. And that clean feeling matters because it teaches your brain something new. Relief is possible without regret. Every time you choose the cleaner path, you strengthen that pathway. That's real change. Not dramatic, not perfect, just consistent. So here's the reflection. When you do something you regret, what are you actually trying to feel? Relief? Control? Connection? Numbness? Validation? Because once you know what you're chasing, you can chase it in a way that doesn't cost you your self-respect. If you want, leave a comment with one word: relief, control, connection, numb, whatever fits closest. And if you've been frustrated that you know better but still repeat the pattern, remember this. What you thought was weakness was your nervous system trying to protect you the only way it learned how. You don't need to hate yourself into change. You need to build a better exit.